Here we are in the Coachella Valley. It's about 2 hours outside of LA, but unlike LA where everyone wants to play rock and roll or be an actor or something, this is a place where you make music because you love it. I mean, and you have to love it so much you're willing to drag a generator out in the middle of nowhere or constantly face literally going to the cops. No one's gonna pay you and you don't really have a chance of making it. The first one to really do it was Caius. It was that desert mentality that allowed him to do it, you know? Didn't believe in letting anyone carry their gear and I'll do it myself and nothing's gonna stop me. You kind of have to have that attitude in the desert because just to get up and go outside, you have to have an attitude of nothing's gonna stop me because it's 123 degrees here. And the music that comes out of here is weird. I mean, let's look at other desert bands. Alice Cooper, desert band. Meat Puppets, desert band. The Moist Boys, they're weird. Generator parties are probably the most romanticized and fantastical element of the desert music scene. That started with Jimi Hendrix and Eric Burdon dragging generators out into the desert so that they could burn furniture and party on LSD, you know? The road is made for desert people. That's a fact. It's desolate, and you have to be tough if you want to live here, you know? You know, I played flute. I started on flute. That's what made me fucking tough. You walk around with a flute in the desert with a bunch of biker kids, you better fucking get tough. It's like being a boy named Sue, you know what I mean?
The desert is a uniquely sexual place. It's where the golden gilded balls of rock and roll are heated and seared. The rules are strict. We like to break them down in two categories. There are dill-do's, a hell yes, and a dill-don't. Don't get that thing near me.
Dudes can do interesting stuff, you know, they can do some interesting sexual tricks, but you seem to know of a person, your
husband.
Tell me what this dill-don't is.
He could put his shaft in his mouth, like halfway down, and his balls. Like he just does this type dill and it goes like in.
Stretches them out.
You use the word warming up, like what's
yeah, he
gets like this.
Stretches
he stretches them out. He gets like
balls.
this.
He gets the balls and
he
like
goes like
jerks
this.
them.
He goes
And
like
he's
this.
like,
Yeah.
He gets the balls.
He does.
but the best part is like he's not like a yoga master. He has like a
He
drinks like
he
a
has
30
to-
pack a day.
Have
and
you
he's
seen
just
that
all-
Family Guy where he has to lift it up and then do it? That's kind of what he's got to do.
Yes.
Right now I'm
Fair
going to
enough.
tell you that is the top of the dill-don'ts.
Yeah, very
Yes.
much so.
You're folding yourself in half with a Homer
Not
Simpson belly
something you want to tell
and
ladies.
sucking your own dick.
So here you have your typical desert party. Sunshine and a lot of balls talk. Now I need to show you a classic desert rock show. Inevitably it will be somewhere weird and the band will be fucked up, literally. But first I need a costume change, so what better excuse to drop in on my wonderful mama. Fans of rock and roll are really beautiful people, and I really consider fans of rock and roll roadies just as much as I would consider anyone else, because as far as I'm concerned, we're all there to worship the same devil. I'm just a monkey that gets to shake his dick and have a good time. We couldn't have anyone to shake our dicks in front of if they weren't coming to look at it, you know what I mean? And they often come and make me really beautiful things, like that's a pair of underwear with a mustache on it. And then they sign me autographs. I mean, isn't that really cool?
This is Jesse's hospital newborn picture. He was already ready to take the world.
Yeah, Mom, I like that.
He was, sure.
So we went on tour with Guns N' Roses. We were on tour with Joan Jett, and I get a phone call. Guns N' Roses wants Eagles of Death Metal to go on tour. We get this call. I'm totally stoked because Appetite for Destruction is hands down one of the greatest fucking rock albums ever made. The tour started a week later. When we came off stage, everything seemed cool. So when Guns N' Roses was going on, Axl, being the sort of dude that he is, had PA speakers strung along the back of this tennis stadium so you can hear every fucking word of everything he's saying. And all of a sudden I hear about the third song in, he says, "What did y'all think of the Pigeons of Shit Metal? Better feel sorry for the little fellas because it's their last night of the tour," and he kicked us off the tour. And then the next day, my friend Dave Grohl came out and said that being disapproved of by Axl is like being knighted by the Queen. For a minute, it felt like it was the end of my life in rock and roll. For a moment, and then forever, it's felt like what it is. The gods of rock kicked Axl out of the club, and I got to be the messenger. That's how I look at it. My mom's best two quotes are, put on a jacket, I'm cold, and you can only light off fireworks as long as you promise not to light your brother on fire. Those are actual things my mom says. That's like desert style. Check this out. We've been doing this thing, and it's kind of like we're trying to discover the true nature of rock and roll from the perspective of the road crew. And what we've kind of determined is that we're all part of this machine and rock and roll, and the road crew are the most important, right?
Yeah. Well, for us, we are the road crew.
That's dude.
We are the road crew.
Beating me to it. I interviewed my best friend Josh Wahami the other day, and he was like, in the early days of Caius, we didn't believe in letting anyone carry our gear. So the spirit of rock and roll will not die. And you guys came down here and you set up in a Denny's.
Yeah.
I've never fucking seen a rock show.
It's a very classy Denny's.
Give me some stories. Give me some trippy shit about having to haul your gear, about having to be the road crew or whatever. Like
our first English tour.
Yeah,
our first
was
English
brutal.
tour.
It was the most insane tour we've ever done. It was a 2-week tour, but one of it was over an Easter weekend, and we were doing 2 shows a day over that Easter weekend. And every club you play when you're our size of band in England at that time, it was a pub.
Right.
And it was always on the 3rd or 4th floor of the
with no
pub.
elevator.
Yeah. So it's like you're lifting things over your head. It's like Jenga
And
trying to get
every
up.
local crew member hates your fucking guts,
Oh,
right?
no local crew. We brought our friend to drive us, and he had bad ribs, so he couldn't lift anything. We all decided we hate working real jobs. We hated it. And so we were like, how can we do this as cheaply as possible so we can afford to pay our rent off this band? And so we decided it was like no management, doing everything ourselves. So
That's kind of the future these days.
yeah, well, exactly. And also, there's no one to answer to at the end of the day. I saw Frank Black one time when I was a kid, and he loaded and unloaded his own gear. He finished playing, put on gloves, and loaded off the stage with all his gear. And I know he doesn't do that when he's in the Pixies, but I was like, if Frank Black can do that, I can fucking do that.
Well, that's, kind of the concept of no job is too small. And it's
Yeah.
almost the old American concept of the president of the company started out in the mailroom. You know what I mean?
Like the best thing was like not when punk happened, but kind of like 2 years later when the DIY thing happened.
Right.
And everyone's like, yo, you don't have to be good at an instrument. You don't have to be super good looking, and anyone can do it, and anyone should try and do
Say
it.
though that we're also in the seat of maybe the most significant DIY. We are the road crew movement that happened in America, and that's we're in California, home of SST.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate diehard do-it-yourself effort.
Yeah.
Completely self-run, completely
Which-
self-managed.
What's crazy, like that Black Flag tour route that Black Flag built, like Blaze the Tail, people still follow it today.
That was the scary days of rock. You guys kind of, I think the reason we're here talking to you is because you kind of exemplify something. You will not be stopped.
No, but we're also like, I think we're living proof that if you don't let it stop, you can keep going with it.
This kind of right here encapsulates, I think, the total concept of what we're reaching for. These guys hump their own gear. Not only are they badass for real, but they aren't afraid to come rock a fucking Denny's at the Ace Hotel with a bunch of questionable sexuality men running around. You know what I mean? I'm so pleased with what went down tonight. I feel like we finally got to see what this is all about. I got swept up in the night of rock and roll. I even became a part of the show. And the road crew and the band and the crowd united into one symbiotic giant mess of ooze and primordial cell structure. It wasn't like I was looking at what was around the dick as much as I saw the entire porno. This was it, baby. The whole shooting match, the whole spit and caboodle, wrapped up in one illustrious band title with the word fuck in it.